One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest started life as a fantastic novel published in 1962 by Ken Kesey. But in 1975, it became a really popular movie directed by Milos Forman and starring Jack Nicholson and Louise Fletcher. But the question in all our minds is, what is different between the both of these? Join me today as we discover those. Welcome back to BG's Books. I'm Mr. BG, and today I want to be discussing the differences between One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, the book, and One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, the movie. So, I recently reread the book and rewatched the movie because I both experienced them before. Both are incredible both times around, by the way. But anyway, so I recently re-experienced both of these again because I wanted to do a video explaining the differences between the book and the movie. And so I gotta say, there's actually not a lot of differences. The movie is like a really faithful adaptation of the book outside of a couple things which we'll get into. So yeah, anyway, you get the gist. I will just be examining the book and the movie to explore the differences and why they're different. And yeah, that's about it. So let's get right into the comparisons. All right, and so the first difference I want to go over is actually the storytelling format in which both the book and movie are told. In the book, our main character slash narrator is Chief Bromden. You know, the big Indian guy, or this guy. I'm assuming my editor will put up a picture of him. But anyway, so in the book, he's basically, he's been in the mental asylum for about 10 or so years after World War II ended. And so he's just been kind of faking deaf to overhear every conversation he can, you know. So like patients, they have conversations and he overhears them. Employees of the ward, they have conversations and he overhears them. And so he just kind of drafts them down in his journal just because it's interesting. And while also doing that, he is undercover as a like sweeper. Like because he's deaf and big, he can just like sweep and stuff. So yeah, there's a couple more differences between Chief Bromden between the book and the movie, but we will get to those in time. But so of course the major difference right off the bat is that Chief Bromden is the main character of the book, and then the movie basically makes him just a side character, a very small side character at that, and then fully goes in on McMurphy as the main character. McMurphy is still a very big part of the plot in the book, mind you, but McMurphy is basically the main character in the book, and Bromden is basically almost non-existent in the movie. And so, yeah. I just thought that was kind of interesting because it's such a major change between the book and movie that I just had to mention it. So the next difference that I wanted to get to while we're on the topic of characters is McMurphy himself. So basically McMurphy in the book, he is this like sort of muscled guy. He has like a wiry red hair, red sideburns and stuff, and he's got like tattoos on him and stuff. And then of course in the movie, he's just Jack Nicholson. So like he's rambunctious, he gets on people's nerves, he just kind of does whatever he wants, but he doesn't have tattoos or the red hair or red sideburns because he is Jack Nicholson. So basically McMurphy is about the same that he is in the book, except he's just Jack Nicholson instead of some wiry redheaded guy. The final character difference I really want to get into is Nurse Ratched. So of course Nurse Ratched is of course the main villain of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. She is just the ultimate symbol of authority and no fun at all. And so in the book she's described as a big woman with just the largest chest possible. That's really how she's described. And she also has like a reddish orange fingernails most of the time and lipstick, and that's about it. And then in the movie, of course, they kind of toned down that. Nurse Ratched, I don't believe, has any like colorful lipstick or nail polish or whatever. And then she does not have as big a chest as the book Nurse Ratched does. So yeah, of course, a very weird comparison. Similar to McMurphy, she basically matches the same personality and stuff that that book Ratchet has. It's just that she just looks physically different, which isn't even that big of an issue. So moving on a little bit in the story, this story is basically told in 4 parts. And so at the end of part 1 in the book, we have McMurphy trying to watch the World Series on TV and stuff. And so in the book, this all happens in like one exchange in one day. But in the movie, they have him pitch it at first, but then no one raises their hand. So they quit it for that day, and then they come back the next day and do it again, and then the scene from the book plays out in full. So yeah, I just thought that was generally interesting. And then another part that's really interesting about the 4 parts of the book is that part 2 was basically cut out of the movie. It's like the only thing that I really remember from part 2 in the book was the pool scene, which we will get into in time. But outside of the pool scene, which happens later in the movie than it does in the book, yeah, part 2 just basically doesn't exist at all in the movie, which I thought was pretty funny considering I don't remember a lot of part 2 myself. So maybe that was the good call. All right, so I just mentioned the pool scene. Let's get to the pool scene. So in the book, if you remember, the guys go on a boating trip, which we will also get to. But the pool scene, which I'm about to describe, happens before the boat scene in the book and after the boat scene in the movie. And so in the book, what happens is that they're chilling in the pool, and then this guy named Cheswick, he basically tells McMurphy, because he's been like Murphy's first supporter since McMurphy first arrived. Basically, in the pool, he just tells him that he can't do it anymore, and then he goes down to the bottom, grips the pool drain, and then he stays down there until the employees pull him up, and he is dead. And so, of course, Cheswick just straight on survives the movie. That is like another like bigger difference between the book and the movie. But I thought that was kind of interesting. So yeah, those are really the only differences between the pool scene. I mean, McMurphy just kind of aggravates some people. That's about it. But yeah, the biggest difference between the pool scene in the book and the movie is that in the book, Cheswick like basically deletes himself, and then in the movie he just outright survives the entire movie. Naturally, the next part I need to talk about is the boat scene. So the boat scene is generally the same between the book and the movie, but there are a couple differences. For one thing, in the book, it was already like a pre-scheduled trip. Like McMurphy asked people to sign up. I guess the patients can go on like excursions or something. So anyway, they all get to go and they go fishing and they have fun. But in the movie, what happens is basically they get like a doctor to go on with them and stuff, similar to the movie. And so, yeah, they also get like caught by the police afterwards, even though McMurphy rented the boat. And then like it's a whole thing. And then before they return to the hospital, McMurphy drives past his old house that he had as a child, and that explains why there's a little girl's dress in the tree. A very weird conversation. But anyway, so the movie cuts out like almost all of that. There's no like him going past his childhood home after the trip. Basically what happens is that the rest of the prisoners get to go on an excursion, but McMurphy just kind of sneaks out and then hijacks the bus and then drives them there. And then I also mentioned that in the book, McMurphy had already rented the boat ahead of time, but in the movie, they just kind of hijacked the boat as well. And the sailor's like, "What are you doing?" And then McMurphy's like, "Oh yeah, well, we're just taking this boat." And then there's no police involved at all. And also another big difference is that Chief Bromden was also on the boat, and of course Cheswick wasn't because he already died at this point. So another difference between the two is that Bromden is on the boat, and that Cheswick was not on the boat as he was dead. Versus the movie where Cheswick is on the boat but Bromden is not on the boat. And then another difference is that instead of the boat getting rocked by like the guys trying to fish and stuff, McMurphy goes with this girl that he brought along to have fun, if you know what that means. And so the guys basically just kind of creep on him and stuff in the movie, and then you know things go haywire. No one's controlling the boat, so the boat kind of goes like haywire and stuff. I understand that this is very confusing to watch. Just bear with me, please. Anyway, so yeah, those are basically the differences between the book and the movie regarding the boat scene, and I just thought they were very interesting, to say the least. Another difference here is that there is a difference between the book and the movie when Bromden actually starts talking to McMurphy. So in the book, it's the night before the fishing trip, and then McMurphy asks Bromden to, sign up for the fishing trip, but because Bromden is deaf, he can't hear anything. So McMurphy basically hands him a stick of gum, and then Bromden says, "Thank you," accidentally. And so this is like in the middle of the night, no one else can hear them, so then they just have like a conversation and stuff. And then of course Bromden goes on the fishing trip, yada yada yada, stuff we've already talked about. But in the movie, it happens much after the boat trip, much after the pool scene, where McMurphy has started a fight, and Chief has also gotten in on it, so they're kind of waiting to be electroshocked. And then while they're waiting to be electroshocked, Bromden says thank you accidentally, and then that's when Jack Nicholson realizes that Bromden could actually talk and stuff. And so there is a similar scene to that in the book, but of course Bromden had already talked by then, and then in this version of the scene, Bromden has not talked by then. So yeah, very interesting. And then just another difference in general is that since McMurphy's the main character this time around instead of Bromden, we just kind of see his perspective on things. Like we see him in the electroshock room, we see his experience of stuff, and yeah, that's kind of about it. But yeah, so Bromden talking, it still does happen in the movie versus the book, but a lot differently than the book shows. All right, and then this is kind of the final section. This basically just regards the entire lengthy ending of both the book and the movie. So in the book, what happens is that McMurphy decides he's going to have a going away party because he decides that he's going to, break out and stuff. Same thing as in the movie. So brings over a couple of girls. Him and the guys have a party with the doctor, who's basically just like doing this against his will almost. He's very regretful about it. Anyway, so long story short, they have fun. Billy Bibbit, who is played by Brad Dourif from the movie, he goes off with one of the girls and then has some fun times with her, again, if you know what that means. And then in the morning, they're all found. They're kind of like drunk, hungover, like just tired and stuff. But Billy Bibbit is found in the room with the girl. And so Nurse Ratched basically tells him, how would your mother feel about this? Because he's basically been like abused or something, controlled by his mother. And so Billy Bibbit can't take it anymore, so he runs into the nearest room, and then there's some screaming and some blood, and then Nurse Ratched walks out of the room and says, he cut his throat. Meanwhile, in the movie, what happens is basically that same thing, except the patients all go into the room and then see his body for themselves, rather than just Nurse Ratched explaining it. And then another minor difference I've noticed is that Nurse Ratched in the book tells McMurphy, he wouldn't have done this if it wasn't for you bringing your girls along and having this party and stuff. So she's basically shifting the blame entirely onto McMurphy instead of like her mentioning Billy's mother and stuff. And so, after that, she goes into the nurse's station. McMurphy's just so overcome with rage that he walks over there, breaks the window open, and starts choking her, and then her dress explodes open, revealing her chest. So, again, I'm pretty sure Ken Casey just wanted to be like a little dirty there. I don't know. But anyway, so of course what happens in the movie is that after the patients go into the room and see Billy Bibbit's body for themselves, Nurse Ratched does not say anything about blaming McMurphy for it, and she doesn't even go back into the nurse's station because McMurphy just grabs her right there and chokes her out. But of course, the hospital staff, similar to the book, get him as well. And so those are kind of the major differences between those scenes, but then the ending is also a little different. So in the book, Randall Patrick McMurphy, McMurphy has been gone for about 2 weeks at this point. And so everyone's wondering where he is. And so he finally gets wheeled in on like a dolly type of thing, having been lobotomized. And so they put him on the bed, and then Chief can't bear to see him like that. His rebellion must live on, so he smothers him with a pillow. Okay, going good so far. Meanwhile, one of the guys who was on the fishing trip, I can't remember if it was Harding, Scanlon, or someone else, he basically says, go on, Chief, you get out of here. I'll take care of this guy. So then Chief goes to like this room, picks up a heavy machine, launches it out the nearest window, and then it makes it outside, hitches a ride with the guy in a truck, gets the guy's address so he can pay him back the money that he was loaned, and then he's going to go back and see his family wherever their tribe is from. And so that's how the book ends. But in the movie, we don't know how much time has passed since McMurphy has been lobotomized, but all we know is that he is carted in, or he has walked in the middle of the night while everyone else is sleeping, but Bromden sees him. And so Bromden tries to convince him, let's go, same as the book. But of course, McMurphy's already been lobotomized. So similar to the book, Bromden realizes that McMurphy's legacy needs to live on as someone who was not taken out by the system. So he smothers him in exactly the same way. And then he goes, to pick up that machine, lifts it, and then launches it out through like the ward room window instead of like the nearest window. And then that wakes up Christopher Lloyd's character. And then so he screams, then everyone else wakes up because of his screams. And then they watch Chief Bromden run away into the distance. No truck, no nothing, just pure escape. So those are kind of like the main differences of the ending. But yeah, that brings our video about to a close. So that is for the most part the end of the video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. There are a couple of differences that I didn't mention between the book and the movie, mostly because they're just like for time reasons, or like because Chief Bromden is more of a character in the book. We get like his backstory. He tells us what life was like in his tribe and his father and his mother and stuff. And then he also has like hallucinations occasionally and stuff. And then the movie, of course, just cut that out entirely since he's basically a nothing character in the movie. But so yeah, generally just most of the differences from here on out are just like for time reasons, like they either simplify scenes, cut scenes entirely, or just like change something to make the movie more accessible to the audience than just the book. But anyway, so yeah, guys, that is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed me detailing all the differences that I noticed between the Cuckoo's Nest book and movie. I'm sure there are definitely more that I've missed. I've only experienced the book and movie twice each, so I'm sure I haven't caught everything. So if you guys have caught anything, if you've read the book and seen the movie, please let me know if there's anything that I missed. But yeah, for the most part, that is everything that I think was worth talking about in the differences video. But yeah, guys, let me know what differences you want to see between a book and movie in the future. And let me know, yeah, as I said, any differences that you notice between the Cuckoo's Nest book and movie. But anyway, yeah, thanks for watching this video. I've been Mr. BG. This has been BG's Books, and I will see you guys in the next video.